Hey, tribe. Right, a quick blast on everything that's going on because I've been away for a couple of weeks, and this week should have been a nice, relaxing run in to me getting married on Saturday. But of course, this is Team Rubicon, and nothing ever works out to plan. And clearly, there's a huge hurricane that has just hammered the Bahamas, well, certain parts. But anyway, um, so we'll come on to that in a moment. I know Paul Taylor's done an update around and where we're at as well, but we've got an awesome op going on up in Blackburn at the moment with Shane and Becky running that for us with DIOSOS. That's building great traction for the domestic operations brand. You know, to get that constant rhythm of good, meaningful work to do here in the UK established. That's really fantastic. So Shane, Becky, thanks for everything you're doing up there at the moment, and Nicola from running remotely, which is never easy. You know, thank you very much for that. It's just awesome to see us doing such great work for people that need it the most here as well as abroad. So last week I was in the States at the Team Rubicon Leadership Conference, and that was really around us talking to our global partners, TR USA, Canada, Australia, around future interoperability, future capability developments, what the future of the network will or won't look like. You know, what does the future need to look like for to maintain our independence, but still to create some cohesive operating picture when we all end up in different disaster zones around the world. Really, really productive week. But it was also good for me because I'm going through a strategic refresh at the moment with the team, but also looking at our cultural values. You know, mission first, gracious always, change your socks. Yeah, these things have been around for a while, but they've never been really embedded. Not everyone's sort of roughly defined them in their own ways. They've been misused at times. So I really wanted to spend as much time as I could with Jake understanding why he wrote them, how he wrote them, because I'm thinking around what do they mean for us? How might we want to slightly adapt and change to make them suitable, wholly appropriate, you know, right for us here in the UK? Because UK America, it's same but different as you will know. And those of you that have served in the military coalitions abroad, you'll understand that America and the UK have very similar NATO standard operating procedures, but we did things very, very differently. Culturally, we did things very, very differently, and it's really interesting for me at the moment to be doing that again in this organisation and looking at the parallels of the massive organisation with lots of cash and then the smaller one with not so much cash and how we go about things differently, and not to say that one is better or worse than the other. So that was last week or the week before. Really, really great. And I'm now going to bring that in to finalise the strategic work I'm doing with the executive team into the plan for the next 1 and 3 years. That is a plan that covers operations and fundraising and grey shirts. You know, I was explaining the triangulation point and how I look at that to you before. So that's how we're looking at the strategic plan. So the objectives across that. I won't preempt presenting it because we're still working on it. But what it will see is a harder positioning on the work we do in disaster risk reduction. That will see us really strengthening our position in resilience and disaster risk reduction, so that pre-planned operating space, because that is a more sustainable model for us to grow in. We will absolutely always be a response organisation, but it will now be around putting capability wraps around our response work as opposed to going for deep growth in that because it's unpredictable. So it's just going to be a slight repositioning. You'll see some of our comms will adjust as well to show that we're operating throughout the disaster cycle, not just in response. Because actually that's becoming a bit of a barrier to us. Being only response does negate us certain opportunities. So more to follow on that. And also as we do this values work, more to follow on that. I don't know if Bethan mentioned last week, but the Team Rubicon Leadership Conference in the States is really great. It gets it gets lots of their volunteer leaders in. It's funny, you know, their volunteer leaders, there was 500 of them in the room. There's only 700 of us total grey shirts. And that was just some of their volunteer leaders. But I really wanted to do something similar here. So Bethan's in the early stages of planning a grey shirt conference here. It's not going to be as glitzy and glamorous as the one in the States. It's not going to be in the Rockies. We're not going to throw on loads of really cool stuff. But what we can do is spend a really meaningful weekend together. And I'm going to invite as many of you as we can host to come down, presentations from different parts of the teams, lots of discussion exercises, lots of just sitting up front, and where you can ask us anything. Just spend a weekend together, so you'll understand fully where the next 1 and 3 years are going, all of the things that are keeping us up at night, all the things that are going really well, and just a good chance to spend loads and loads of time together, without the training. So just information flow, just passages back and forth. So loads more to come on that soon, and we want to do that this year. This isn't going to be some speculative thing that we do never. It's going to be this year. And then we've got Hurricane Dorian, which I know there's a lot of interest in the Slack channels right now. I'd ask you to follow Paul Taylor's instruction and just wait out now. The team is half on summer leave, half in, and the halfers that are here are now going 10 to the dozen to spin this up. The recce team is, we can send that today, but I need to now create some funding conditions to be able to go. Because what I don't want them to do is to go and build an op that we can't then fund. So I've got all of my feelers out into various different places. So is Joe and Claire, to just try and get people that would pledge around what we think the op would be. Because then we can send it. Then we can start calling more grey shirts out, and then we can build the op. We're still recovering our funds from Mozambique, so we've got to be slightly more precautious now. Ideally, we'd have a team in Nassau already, just waiting for the storm to pass, pop up, here we are. But we've got solid communication links with UN OCHA based on the work we did in Mozambique. We've got funders that are lighting up, that are interested in this. The Bahamas, it's a former colony, it's a Commonwealth state. There's a lot of Brit expats out there, so it's not surprising. It's sad to see how philanthropy works sometimes, because for Mozambique, we really couldn't generate much interest, and that was a devastating disaster. Whereas for the Bahamas, lots of people are coming. Within 3 or 4 hours of work this morning, I've got, various different potential funding pots. So much more to come on that over the next few days, undoubtedly. My gut says that there will be an op there for us, but I'm being bit more measured because we have to fund this first. I have to be very, very sure that we're not going to create a liability that we can't then deliver, because it's unprofessional and it will create a financial risk for us that we're not necessarily in a position to sustain right now. So all that, and then I'm going to get married on Saturday. Boom, great stuff, too easy. There will be loads more comms coming out in the next few days as we know more about Dorian. Thanks for everything that we're all doing elsewhere, DIY, SOS, some of the great fundraising efforts that's gone on. And also, I just think there's this really wicked buzz around training at the moment. The international ops course that's just been, the domestic ops before that, there is this really exciting buzz around old and new grey shirts coming together, and it just feels like such a great place to be right now. So thank you for everything you're doing. Stand by your beds for Dorian and more, but please don't start hammering the channels on who's available when and what, because we're not there yet, and there is so few of us in HQ right now. We can't deal with that deluge of information. Right, tribe, love you as always. Stay strong. Speak to you in a bit. Bye.